Like I said, right now, we're trying to evacuate. You can hear it behind me. Our CERT team will be handling what they need to handle, so. Yeah, right now there's a lot of different variables that are actively ongoing right now. So we thought it was best case what happened all the way through this morning that we're going to be in here. So. Yeah, I don't want to give you a number right now because I'm undershoot that, right? Right now we have a lot of different agencies all working together right now, and we want to resolve this the best way possible.
Rocker, we're hearing this gunfire. Is it coming from police or is it coming from the suspect or back and forth?
Right, I think we just set up a couple more drones. Was not the first time the suspect did shoot at earlier previous drones, right? So right now it's an active gunfire situation right now. With that, I will leave you with that and update you guys as best as possibly can. Be checking on our Troop BPIO Twitter account for updated information, okay?
Okay.
Right, that's all the thought. That's a really good question, actually. But right now, we're focusing on any and all troops in the area to help out with Troop B maybe. So you might see some other units from DEA and et cetera coming in right now to assist our CERT team and other members throughout the city with this investigation. Yeah, Trooper Rocco Gagliardi.
ECOGAGLIARDI. I will head back down there and I will update you guys as best I can.
Okay, you just heard from State Police PIO Trooper Rocco Gagliardi. He said that State Police is taking over this investigation. He told us that the gunfire you just heard while we were... They have drones in the air. If we can see it right now, but we have drones up there that's giving them a bird's eye view of what exactly is taking.
It would be good to know. I think they said the 4800 block. I wonder what the houses and buildings are like over there because
that he is able to relay to us and to our viewers at this time, but we're going to stay around and make sure that we continue to get updates from him. And then,
because I think with this situation, you're just gonna have to be aggressive. Like, I don't, and I'm not saying they are, but like I'm talking to the point of like, because if they're shooting back and forth with officers, there's a chance that an officer could die. Lives are at risk. They're gonna have to send some sort of mechanical something in there. The only thing is like, because I was thinking bomb, but I don't know how close up a proximity. I know that sounds extreme, but this guy seems like he's so armed. They're gonna have to do something else. Tammy, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm so proud of you for taking a stand. Donated 100 on the link. Thank you so much. On your community page, here's a little more blatant defamation to stop online. Yeah, I will try to talk a little bit about, or just mention the link at towards the end of the stream for the situation that I'm in. And the link will provide the information, documentation that you can read and stuff like that if you choose to support. Just Bells, thank you for the 7 months. Thank you for keeping us up to date. Thank you so much. Thank you. And as far as casualties, I don't know. Somebody in the chat mentioned earlier that she saw on Twitter one. I haven't seen any official numbers. The only thing I heard is that cops were shot at, but they came prepared. They knew if this person was like heavily armed. I don't know if they knew to this extent, but they had body armor and all that stuff. So the officers at the time, and I was reading, said that they weren't shot, that they did get hit by some glass. That's it. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. Somebody had been hit by a stray bullet in one of those places, possibly. But so far, I'm not seeing any numbers as far as like fatalities. Nothing official yet. And then I got so many members chats. Thank you for that. Mustard Mama says the squatter was squatting on some ammo. Yeah, I don't know how this guy. He has a lot. I don't know if they're trying to see maybe he'll run out of ammo, but this guy seems like he has a lot. Penny Kane, thank you for this 6 months membership. Says the casualness is kind of suspect. It is kind of like, I don't know how far it is away, but I don't know. If it was me, I'd just be like, kind of like duck, just thinking of a straight bullet, you know, I don't know. They're just like, oh yeah. And they're just like walking like normal. Just Mel's, thank you, I got that. Tammy, again, thank you so much. Michelle, thank you for the membership. The Wilson Dallas, 12 months, my 1 year mark. Thank you so much for resubscribing. K-Love, so glad to catch you all live here. LM89, thank you for the membership. Lex Love, thank you. Kendall Woodward, thank you for becoming a member. Mystified, 17 months. Says this is crazy, Mel. I know. I feel like it's just becoming like the normal. But this guy in this situation is more dangerous to me, in my opinion, than the guy in Texas. The guy in Texas did shoot at officers, but then he stopped and like hid. This guy is still like going toe to toe and firing back. It seems like. Cassie, thank you for the membership. Sinner, thank you for the super chat. Says I was born and raised in this neighborhood. Wow, really? Darcy Miller, thank you for the super chat. Says we love you, Mel. Floor, thank you for the membership. You are incredibly supportive, Mel. You got this. The love has been incredible from you guys. Thank you so much. I really means a lot to me. Chris, thank you for the 7 months. Love and support you, Mel. Bindi, thank you for the 6 months. Rebecca, thank you for the 8 months. Thunder Plums, thank you for the 3-month membership. We love you, Mel. Diggs, 15 months. Member train. Thank you, Laura H. Thank you for the 5 months. Yes, alive. I missed you, Mel, and chat. Yeah, the plan is to start coming back more. I know I've been kind of, oh shit, look at this thing rolling on the road. Rolling deep. So yeah, this is what they, I think they can ram that. What are they doing? Maybe it's changing the lens. Can this ram the house or just pulls up to the house? Welsh Dragon, 8 months. Hi Mel, missed you. Stay strong and well. Thank you so much. Mimi Moody, thank you for the 8 months. Hi Mel, you've had a good one. A-Dash, thank you for the membership. Brett Focus, thank you for the 3 months. Love you, Mel, you got this. Luke, thank you for becoming a member. We support you, Mel, all the way. I see you looking at just 23 months. Thank you so much. Thank you. Amazing. 2 years. Oh, wow, I missed this in the chat, too. Miss Crumpus, thank you for the membership. Kayleen, thank you for the 10 memberships. Holy moly. Ole, thank you so much. Nicole, I just want to say we love you, Mel. We're all standing by you, behind you always. Thank you. There's no helicopter for you guys yet. I'm looking. I wish we did have. Look at this shit. Let's see, I guess they're loading up. I can put the radio feed on. I'm gonna have to step out for a bit, but I am gonna leave the stream running. Probably for like 20 minutes. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you so much. Daily Mail link shows some home drop. Yeah. Same equipment. Yeah, they can ram the house with this shit, right? Let's see here. That's interesting that this guy actually shot down the drones. This guy's definitely more aggressive and dangerous. Damn, witnesses said that after banging on the door to speak with the person inside, police used a sledgehammer to get inside. It was at this point that gunfire started. Damn, so they really try to bust in there. Oh, there is one, let me see, heavy police. There's a little aerial view, it's pre-recorded. Let me take a look at that. I don't want to miss this. All right, we'll take a look at that in a second. I want to see what they're about to do. Oh, they have pictures here, though. Okay, we're going to take a look at the picture. I just want to see what this, they're about to do here. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's a good point, actually. Because they have to be so careful because the houses are so close. That's tricky. Yeah, so I guess there goes like the bomb thing where we're trying to tear it up. I mean, maybe they can, but Mel, the Glare did a stream on you yesterday. Oh, I really appreciate it. I listened to it for, I think like more than half of it. I thought it was really nice. Appreciate it. There's more coming. That stuff, so just stay tuned. Behind us. I guess I'll put a scanner radio, let them load up, and then I don't even know if the scanner radio has anything related. Because I'm just wondering if like they switch to a different radio when situations like this happen. Thank you, Remy.
3500 will contact her.
Annie says that, let me see here. Annie said that the moratorium. There's a lot of chat. She said that off the top of my head, she said that the moratorium evictions ran out on Monday, so there could be more situations like this. There's an aerial feed on WTAV Pittsburgh. Thank you. Thank you. The helicopter feed again. It's nice to see like above. Pittsburgh. Hey, live now.
We get to make dreams come true.
3635, number 133-146.
Oh, you're right. They have some. Let's take a look.
That's copy.
Let's take a look at this.
Probably very relieved that this is potentially over now. We don't have official word of that. We're just describing what we observed here with you live just moments ago.
I'm going to get to Marcy Cipriani right now because there could be a little bit of a delay. There were gunshots still being fired as we saw this individual come out of the house. So Marcy, are you still hearing gunshots?
Thank you, Caps, for that. Appreciate that.
Hey, do you see me? Do you hear me?
We can hear you. We can't see you. Let's take Marcy's shot right now if we can.
Okay.
Please.
Okay. I am getting information from my source that what you just saw was not the suspect being taken away in custody. It was actually a rescue of somebody. I'm told that the suspect is still inside the house. The gunfire was for cover in order to be able to rescue that person from the house. So that person is still inside the house. They are about to deploy gas, according to my source. So I want to clear that up. The suspect remains in the house. What you saw was a rescue, and the gunfire was cover. That is from my source.
Okay.
Wanted to make sure that.
Oh my goodness. As we have been saying, the very first information, what your own eyes can see can sometimes not be what you think it is. So we are reporting from Marcy Cipriani. Her sources are telling us, yes, police did get an individual out of a home, but that person was being rescued. That is not the shooter in this case. We are still waiting for this situation to be done, and that would explain why Marcy also said there was gunfire we heard that was for cover so that police could safely rescue that individual. Marcy, are you getting the sense that the person who was rescued was in the house with the active shooter as maybe a hostage?
I'm sorry.
Again,
I'm having a little bit of difficulty hearing. I'm not sure.
Are you hearing any information?
I think you're asking about maybe where that person came from. I haven't received specific information on where that person was. If they were in the home with the suspect or in a home nearby, I can get that clarification. I'm sure I can get that information back to you. But what I do know is it was a rescue. So if the gunfire was for cover,
that's the person
that the rescue was coming out of a different section of the home. But again, I'll clear that up and get that for you.
That's good. Somebody.
Okay, we do want to go ahead and show you that Sky 4 video that we watched just moments ago. This is, again, a rescue. For a few moments there, we were hopeful that this was potentially the suspect being put into the back of this armored vehicle by all of those law enforcement officials you see on that scene. However, we have now confirmed with Marcy, who confirmed with her source, that this was a rescue of somebody who was either in the home where the suspect is or a nearby home. That information is unclear at this point. Marcy is going to continue to get that for us. But again, another replay of a rescue, not the suspect being brought out of that home and put into that armored vehicle. And then we see as that armored vehicle pulls away and goes down the street. So this situation is still active right now. The suspect is still inside of that home. We heard some gunfire as that rescue was taking place, and we have confirmed that that's because this was indeed a rescue and not the suspect being put in the back of that vehicle.
Yeah, police using gunfire as cover to get that individual to safety. It's unclear which house this rescued person came from. One thing we have not heard from any of the official channels or anyone is that there was a hostage in this situation. For all indications had pointed up to this point that the active shooter in one of these homes here was alone. But it's unclear right now if maybe he did have a hostage. So we are working to clarify that. But what you just watched on Pittsburgh's Action News 4 with Sky 4 and Action Cam there was a person being rescued. And you could see.
But I want to make sure, obviously, I guess that everybody's okay. Yeah, these buildings or apartments, they're like right next to each other, back to back. I'm wondering which is the house. I'm wondering if it's like here, or is it these buildings over here? They're getting some smoke.
Those images, and it sure, and while that was taking place, there's so much chaos and confusion because you do continue to hear those gunshots, and in this case, those gunshots were cover. We talked about this being sort of military-style vehicles coming in, and the war zone nature of what's going on here. That's exactly what it looks like. That's exactly what it sounds like. There is gunfire in this neighborhood, a normally peaceful Pittsburgh City neighborhood that today is completely interrupted. And we see one individual actually rescued from a home by SWAT and CERT officers there on the scene, specially trained to do this work.
Now, this has been going on over 3 hours at this point. Those first calls came in around 10:30, 10:35. Multiple rounds of gunfire. This was, again, Pittsburgh's Garfield neighborhood. We're just a few blocks away from Penn Avenue, about a half-mile away from Children's Hospital, if you're just joining us. And one injury, non-gunfire injury to a sheriff's deputy. That person is okay. We want to make sure we reiterate that every time we do mention that there is an injury. And again, you just saw one person being rescued from a home in that area, potentially the same home as the suspect. That's unclear at this point. But that suspect is still in the home. We're still hearing gunfire, and we've heard it several times on our air, just rapid gunfire. And we've paused just to let you listen to what that neighborhood sounds like right now. People are being asked to shelter inside of their homes to stay safe, as this is an active and ongoing situation, again, for over 3 hours now.
Yeah, for sure. And we've been bringing you this information since it happened here. We started with our noon hour here. The initial news is that there's an active shooter, right? So you've got a lot of people trying to get to safety, trying to understand where exactly this is emanating from and what they need to do to be safe themselves, what's going on, who's in danger. It's stretching over 3 hours now. People want this to end. And we just kind of got deflated there because so many people thought from the visuals on our screens that maybe this was coming to a close. That is not the case. We are still in the process, the police are still in the process of trying to get this person, this heavily armed individual, to surrender peacefully. This has not happened yet. We talked a little bit before about how they will absolutely take their time and be very thoughtful about what tactic they...
Yeah, if they're able to pull this off, that's like get this guy out alive, that's amazing. If not, man, I totally understand. They have to do what they gotta do because there's another truck pulling up. This guy's been wilding out. Wilding. So far, I haven't heard of any fatalities. I have not heard of any fatalities.
Possible. And they'll make decisions about how to proceed with the different resources, human resources, the people and the technology there on scene. In the meantime,
I don't think he's going to surrender either peacefully.
A whole section of the city of Pittsburgh is holding its collective breath, waiting for the situation to end, waiting to go on with their day, and then also start processing the danger and the disruption and the terror that many are rippled through this neighborhood as so many people are watching. We do want to show you this video right now. We've got Sky 4 video showing windows being blown out by gunfire. This is video we took just a short time ago. As we just stunning video this afternoon, a situation in Garfield, windows being blown out.
He's on the upper level.
In the city of Pittsburgh in this dangerous situation. These homes, these residences, right in the epicenter of a violent situation.
And we have had Ashley Zoka on that scene.
All right, so I'm going to leave the stream running. I have to step away for like 10, 15 minutes. You know, this was unexpected, but I'm going to leave this running. I'm going to mention this before I step away, in case you guys leave or it ends before I come back. I have a current situation going on. I can't really talk about it, but I'll put the link in the chat. You go to this, even if you don't donate, that's fine. You can read about what's going on. There's links to the court documentation. So if you want to check that out and know what's going on, especially people that watch me, support me, you can just share the link. That helps too. If you don't, can whatever, that's fine. You can just share it. That helps out. Also, you don't have to have a PayPal account. You can just put in your debit or credit. So people that are wondering what's going on, you can find it here on my YouTube community tab. I just wanted to mention because I can't really talk about what's going on. I've been advised not to, but you can go read and you'll see what's going on. And I advise people to actually read it because some people aren't reading; they're just making assumptions. A lot. The negative people are. But if you go to my YouTube page and hit community, it's right there. All right, you can check that information out. I will be back. I'm gonna let this run.
Come up from the house before the rescue.
And again,
obviously the smoke.
I just want to really say too, I appreciate so much the people that are standing by me and support me. I really appreciate that. The people that aren't, I see that too. That's fine. But I need so much. Love you guys. I'll be back in a bit. Okay, look this play.
Used in the past to end these situations, and we are continuing to cover a dangerous situation. City of Pittsburgh, along with the sheriff's deputies who were first on scene here. We heard from Allegheny County Sheriff Kevin Krause about his deputy who was injured, telling us he's okay. And you think about that for a second. You have a man with a gun, a person with a gun.
Thank you guys. I see the chat. I love you guys so much. Yeah, Rabbit. You can check out Rabbit's channel too.
Unafraid to start firing and discriminating.
Down the whole Rabbit News. Maybe I'll add her link to the information next time. So if you just want somebody to read it to you, if you don't want to read it, it's a lot of pages. It's like 30 something pages. If you want somebody to read it for you, you can check out our channel. I'll be right back.
Potentially the home where the suspect is located inside of, and there it is right there. You can see several law enforcement officers bringing somebody outside of that home, putting that person in the back seat, and then you watch that armored vehicle pull away and drive down the street. For a moment, we did think that was potentially the suspect, that they did finally get out of the home. But as this was happening, we heard gunshots, and that's when Marcy was able to confirm with her sources for us that that was not the suspect, that was a rescue taking place. So again, this is kind of the latest development in the last 10-15 minutes here. So the suspect's still inside, and this is still an active and ongoing situation in Pittsburgh's Garfield neighborhood.
Pittsburgh's Action News 4 reporter Ashley Zilka has been talking to people impacted by this terrible day. Ashley, what can you tell us?
Well, right now we're on Penn and Methilda, and I can tell you I just saw more police officers show up and actually bring more ammo to the scene. And this is kind of a meeting point where a lot of the neighborhood has gathered. I'm here with Leslie. Leslie, you live on Broad Street, and you actually had to be evacuated. Walk me through that process. What happened?
I was barricaded in the basement from hearing all the commotion out front, and the officers just banged on the door and was telling me that I needed to be evacuated for my safety.
What was going through your mind when you see an officer banging on your door?
Fear, just fear. Just wanted to be safe and away from everything that's going on.
Now, do you know anything about the home where this is happening or the suspect?
No, nothing at all. I mean, I've been in the neighborhood for 15 years and pretty much stayed to myself. So I don't know other than just to say hi, bye, that's it.
Now, you came up here on Penn Avenue and you've kind of been watching this unfold. What's it like to see this happen in the area where you live?
Just kind of sad, just sad. We're in an up-and-coming neighborhood, really friendly neighbors. The community is really, everyone's involved. Just sad to see this happen in our neighborhood.
And when police got you safely out of your home, did they tell you how long you would, I mean, obviously you have to stay out of here until this is resolved, but did they tell you anything else?
No, actually they just shielded me to getting away from the scene, and just reassured me that just stay calm and patient. Well, not calm, but patient.
Great. Thank you so much, Leslie. I really appreciate it. Stay safe. Thank you. Right, so obviously you can see this is just heartbreaking for a lot of the community. So many unknowns right now. Like I mentioned here on Penn Avenue, I would say about 30 people from this neighborhood have gathered just to see what is happening. And also what I mentioned in the beginning, we did see more police officers, even from Brentwood Police Department I saw about 20 minutes ago, bringing more ammo to this scene. Obviously from all of the gunfire we have heard over the last few hours, it is just unbelievable. Back to you.
No doubt about it, Ashley, and I know that you've been following along with what was taking place in that neighborhood. Maybe right next door, we saw a rescue take place, a really daring rescue from police officers in their gear to get a person out of the house that you've got some more information about, Ellen.
I do, yeah. I have a police source who told me that the rescue that took place, that was the neighbor that was next door. And so officers had to obviously get that person out of there safely, and that's why they had to lay down that suppressive fire in order to get the person out of the neighboring home to where the suspect is and safely out of that area. And again, as we're talking about this area, if you are just joining us, we want to tell you where this is. This is in Pittsburgh's Garfield neighborhood. This is the corner of Broad Street and North Matilda Street. You're seeing the little exclamation point icon on your screen. That's where the situation's unfolding right now, and just a few short blocks away, Penn Avenue. There's a lot of businesses on Penn Avenue. As I zoom out just a little bit here, you're noticing where Children's Hospital is located. This is about a half mile between that yellow icon where Children's Hospital is located and the red icon where the situation's unfolding. Not necessarily all that close. However, nurses, doctors, staff members, whoever might be heading to the hospital, driving down Penn Avenue, or maybe coming down North Matilda, this is going to affect you. So just something to be mindful of if you are in the Garfield area, even the Lawrenceville area, and driving up into the Garfield area for some reason. This is going on now for, we're approaching 3.5 hours, so you're going to want to continue to avoid this area.
Ellen, I want to get back to what your source told you about the rescue that we saw. There's really valuable information that Eleanor was able to get for us. So, because we had a lot of concerns about who is this person and where did they come from? The visuals at first from Sky 4 led us to believe that maybe this was the shooter, the suspect in this case, and that is not the case. We want to emphasize that. We also, the information that you got also kind of clarifies that more about who may or may not be in the home in question with the shooter. It sounds like this person may still be alone. The person that was rescued was not a hostage.
Correct. That's what I'm gathering from my police source at this point. That person, not necessarily a hostage, the next door neighbor.
Okay.
But police did have to go in there, pull that armored vehicle right up onto the lawn, and use that suppressive fire in order to get this person out of the home, the neighbor, out of the home safely. And as you heard, the suspect in that video continued firing as officers were doing that. So they were able to get that person out safely. By the looks of it, we saw that armored vehicle pull off the lawn and head down the street. So I'm going to continue to work to get some more information, of course, from my source here.
And when you think about it, and we will be showing this video from Sky 4 that showed the rescue with those individuals. We had sort of, we saw one individual, one police officer with the SWAT gear on get out of the vehicle, and then this is video, this is not live, this is video from this person being rescued. This is a next door neighbor to the active shooter. Those police officers in their SWAT gear with that armored vehicle getting that individual to safety. Once they do this, that does then clear the path for them to take next steps to try to end this standoff right now. We are 3.5 hours into the initial shots being fired, hundreds of shots being fired across what is normally a very peaceful, working class Garfield neighborhood. All of that peace shattered today by extended violence and extended danger as these police officers, law enforcement, first responders are filling the streets here in this neighborhood right off of Penn Avenue, a busy corridor through this part of the east end of Pittsburgh, doing their work, doing their jobs to keep the peace. And we do see those police officers, guns drawn, rifles drawn, taking cover behind police vehicles. This is video from another vantage point. We see police officers' vests on here in this situation, a little bit farther back from the house in question where we have this active shooter. That active shooter is still in the house, trying to take stock every once in a while to try to determine how long it's been since we heard gunfire. I believe the last gunfire we heard was around that 1:30 hour, that 1:30 mark, when we knew it was police cover doing that daring rescue of that next door neighbor to the active shooter. Do we have an update from Marcy Cipriani? Marcy, you got some more information for us?
Well, I was just told by my source that they have gotten the gas in place, and they're preparing to deploy the gas into the home probably in the next couple of minutes. So that's one of the reasons we saw that rescue of the next door neighbor, and we heard that gunfire. They're trying to make sure everybody is safe. I want to go ahead and show you what the scene looks like behind me. Again, this is Broad Street near North Weinbittle Street. Quiet here now, and that's kind of how it's been throughout the day. Quiet for moments, then it erupts in gunfire again. But at this point, I'm told from my source, they are preparing to deploy gas, and you may have heard in the background that sound. I believe that was the gas being deployed into the home. So yes, that was the gas, from what I understand, being deployed into the home. So we may see some resolution here soon. We will wait, obviously, to see how the suspect responds to that. Sometimes they do come out, sometimes it doesn't have a ton of effect. Really depends on a lot of situations, but that is what we just saw from here. Back to you guys.
Yeah, and it's been interesting to see that police have taken their time, Marcy. They are very thoughtful about the steps that they take. And here's another live picture of law enforcement gathered in this Garfield Street as we are now on 3.5 hours of a standoff with an active shooter holed up inside a Pittsburgh home, a person who is heavily armed and who has fired indiscriminately throughout from this vantage point in his neighborhood, in this home, outside, putting lots of lives in danger.
You mentioned.
My source is telling me there is reportedly a frightening amount of guns inside of that home.
It's like a battering ram. So
again, as you saw that rescue happening, that was the neighbor reportedly, that was not a hostage, that was not somebody inside of the home with the suspect, but potentially right there next door neighbor right there, who had, I'm sure, been hearing the gunfire for a couple of hours before police were finally able to pull that armored vehicle up onto the lawn and rescue that person in a very dramatic fashion, where we saw.
You can see that there are dozens of.
I am getting some updates from my source, but we'll continue checking in with our reporters who are live on that scene. I know police are actively working, as they have been for the last 3 hours, trying to get the suspect out of this home and end the situation that has been ongoing now.
To evacuate people that live in the 4800 block of Broad Street.
Go ahead and read that
has evacuated. You know, spoke with a few.
So reportedly, law enforcement is deploying gas in order to try to get the suspect out of the home. That will make the suspect very uncomfortable inside that home, sort of force him out of there. That's we're not able to use Sky 4.
Not using Sky 4 now. Okay. Sorry. Okay, that makes sense. So once again,
you are urged to call 911.
Have you listen
can get to you and bring
a little
you to
piece of
safety.
video that
Again, that's the 4800 block of Broad Street. So again, you're taking a look at the car is driving down there now.
So these are
just
police
told
dispatches.
that,
We are getting
it's kind of a
police
wait
broadcast
and
from
see.
the radio
We heard shots
from
maybe
this
within the
emergency
last 10 to
situation.
15
So we're
minutes.
gathering
We
that
haven't heard anything
information.
recently.
People
We're
are being
hoping that
told
that's a
to
good
stay
sign,
away from the area as all of this erupted around 10:30 this morning. The big update that Eleanor, you were just able to get from your source, in combination with reporter Marcy Cipriani on the street telling us that tear gas is a good way to get an individual like this out of the house. That's been deployed. So now everybody is just waiting to see exactly what takes place next. So many people hoping for a quick conclusion to this and a safe conclusion to this.
Of course, and we've been hearing from everybody in that neighborhood. We've had Ashley Zilka on the scene there talking to people who live there, who work there. Several people have said this has been a very scary morning and now into the afternoon for them. They're not exactly sure what's been going on. And, you know, of course, this is as much as we know at this point. Suspects still inside of that home. My source tells me they are they have deployed deployed gas in order to try to get the suspect out of that home, force that person out of there, and of course put an end to this situation. We know one person was rescued. That was reportedly the neighbor, who was probably stuck inside of their home for a couple of hours before police were finally able to get to them and get them out safely, which you watched unfold live on Sky 4.
Elena, what has been striking to me with all of the interviews that Ashley Zilka has done there on the scene with neighbors, people who live in this community, their first reaction is that it was scary. Their second reaction is that it is sad. That you heard one woman describe Garfield, her neighborhood, as an up-and-coming neighborhood. This is a wonderful pocket of Pittsburgh. This is a wonderful place where people just want to go to work and raise their families, and that is interrupted by this today. And you know, everything's just on hold. People holding their collective breath. One thing we have heard throughout the day and throughout the morning are those police dispatches of this emergency situation of an active shooter. Let's give you another peek into some of those radio dispatches.
One needs to stay away from Millville Avenue, anywhere, Kincaid, all of this, that's where I'm at. It's still an active scene.
Even more from police saying that there was an active shooter, not the words you want to hear on a Wednesday morning, you know, knowing that this is a neighborhood that you're connected to, that you have loved ones here on this street, just off of Penn Avenue. Here's a little bit more of those police dispatches.
We have an active shooter situation, zone 5. Actors pulled up in the house with gasoline threatening to burn the house down.
Yeah, so that is new. That's a new dispatch that we are hearing that happened before. One of those first calls from 911 is that there was an active shooter. He had gasoline, and that he was threatening to burn the house down. We have pieced together the story of this violence through reporter Marcy Cipriani, Ashley Zilka as well. And one thing that both of them had indicated to us, that at one point police heard from a family member who was incredibly distraught, upset, crying, even falling on the ground, explaining that this individual is his uncle, and he's clearly worried for him and how this whole thing is going to end for him. And, you know, the police are trying to gather information and intelligence about how to deal with this individual and exactly what the danger may be inside. We saw with killer Richard Popowski not far away in a nearby neighborhood to this, who took the lives of 3 Pittsburgh police officers maybe 10 years ago, that they do things differently now. They get as much more information about how many guns could possibly be at this person's disposal, what kind of maybe explosives are in there, and if there are any other people in the house with the active shooter. We have not heard that there were any additional people inside the home. This all was precipitated. We are hearing from the sheriff in Allegheny County, Kevin Krause, that one of his deputies was doing their work of going to serve an eviction notice to an individual at this home, and that is when the gunfire erupted, 10:30 this morning.
About 10:30 this morning. And Shannon, I do want to let you know that we have reporter Paul Van Osdal working his way to that scene, getting there in just a couple of minutes here. And he has some information about the suspect inside of that home that he has dug up. He's going to share that with us just as soon as he gets live to that scene. Of course, we have Marcy Cipriani there as well, Ashley Zilka. We've had Sam Hall and Sky 4. Yep. We've been told to not keep Sky 4 in the air at this point. The latest from my source is that police have used gas to try to get the suspect out of this home. That'll make it very uncomfortable for the suspect to be inside of the home. So hopefully the deployment of this gas will force him out of the home and the situation can end. My source also tells me that there is a, quote, frighteningly large number of guns inside of that home where the suspect is located.
Yeah. This is coming from law enforcement. You know, they're used to dealing with this kind of situation, and if it's frightening to them, you can just imagine what they're up against. You know, so we've been told to not use Sky 4 right now. So we're going to respect that, and we're going to take a break from Sky 4 for obvious reasons, because we are bringing you the story. That's okay, though, because look at this live shot that we have from the ground right now. I'm not sure which one of our wonderful Pittsburgh Action News 4 photographers is behind the camera here, but we've got a live picture right now This is happening right now, and this is happening in our city. You can see a lot of police lights. You can see the armored vehicle there. You can see the epicenter of where this danger is. And you see some SWAT officers moving around quite a bit as well. Here's another live picture. You see those individuals, when you see them kind of moving around on foot, that's something we have not seen except for that rescue. So those folks are out of the vehicle. They're on foot. And you're watching this live on Pittsburgh's Action News 4. We're not breaking away from this. We're not letting go of this. We understand that tear gas, we're at the tear gas stage of this standoff. And if that's the case, we are very hopeful that there is a quick resolution to this and a safe resolution to this. Here's another angle, another one of our crews, our photographers, live on the scene in Garfield, showing you there's a paramedic standing by. There's another law enforcement vehicle standing by. Backing up a little bit, as state police, we told you that PSP, Pennsylvania State Police Troopers, they have taken over command of this operation. That means they call the shots. They're in charge of the situation. And once again, the tear gas has been deployed. We are not using Sky 4 right now to show you over top of this house where there's an active shooter in Garfield. We're not doing that right now on purpose. But we are covering this with lots of other angles with our folks who do have boots on the ground there. So we're able to show you these live pictures.
And Sky 4 has captured video over the last 3 hours here. We have some video of windows that have been blown out. I don't know if we can show you that video.
I think what we're going to do is go to Paul. Let's go to Paul Van Osdol. Okay. Paul Van Osdol, our investigative reporter here at Pittsburgh's Action News 4. Paul, you have information on who this person is?
Yes, that's right. We've been looking into the background of the suspect, and his name is William Hardison Jr., and court records show just this morning an eviction of Hardison was scheduled at that address on Broad Street here in Garfield where the standoff occurred. Now, the home was owned by a man who appears to be Hardison's father, William Hardison Sr. It was occupied by William Hardison Jr. Earlier this year, the elder Hardison, he sold that house to a company called 907 East Street. Now, in May, that company filed a complaint to evict Hardison Jr., but they say he refused to leave, and they say he has also refused to pay rent for the past 5 months. Now, just last week, a judge granted a request by the property owner to evict Hardison, not only evict Hardison, but to lock his belongings inside the house following today's eviction. That was just approved last week by the judge in this case. Now, we also found some information on Hardison Jr.'s criminal history. Most recently, it's mostly minor stuff, nothing overly violent. Back just last year, he entered a guilty plea to carrying a firearm without a license. He got 2 years probation for that. It was 17 years earlier was his most recent offense, where he entered a guilty plea to forgery or altering a title or registration. He got 3 years probation on that case. Also back in 2005, he entered a guilty plea to an accident involving death or injury and got 2 years probation. Back in 2001, he entered a guilty plea to fleeing or attempting to elude and disorderly conduct, as well as marijuana possession, and he got 6 months probation on that case. And this house, before it was owned by Hardison Jr.'s father, it was actually owned by his brother. And after his brother's death, the father took over the house. He was the main heir of the brother's estate. The brother lived in Michigan. And again, after the father took over the house, he sold it to this company, which tried to evict William Hardison Jr., and the eviction was supposed to happen this morning. And as we know, that's when the standoff occurred. In fact, police radio show the initial shots were fired just after 10:30, and that was the exact time that the eviction was scheduled for. We're live in Garfield and Paul Van Osdol, Pittsburgh's Action News 4. Back to you.
Paul, that's a lot of information about the individual that may be behind all of this in this dangerous situation today. Thank you for digging into that. We're going to keep you there and have you continue to gather information about the background here and what's taking place. Again, Paul explaining to us the person who may be at the center of this, the suspect in this case, is certainly known as a dangerous individual.
Absolutely. I just want to say I'm joining you this afternoon. Elena has been here handling traffic duty since early this morning, so we thank her for being here. And we just kind of want to talk about the situation with Sky 4. If you've been tuning in and you'd seen our live pictures, they left once to refuel, but they've been over the scene. But we understand that state police have asked us not to use that footage right now for officer safety, and we are complying with that. But what we do understand right now is that there is a Rook right now, which is an armored vehicle with a long arm that is going into the front door of the home. And you and Eleanor were talking a lot about the gas also that officers have been using. We had seen some smoke coming right before we stopped using that Sky 4 shot coming from the home as well. So it looks like they are really now making that attempt to get this person out of the house.
Yeah, glad to have my friend Kelly Sasso here joining us to get you through the rest of this situation here. Pittsburgh's Action News 4 has been on the air since noon, telling you about a dangerous situation, an active shooter in Pittsburgh's Garfield neighborhood. You've been gathering information too, also in the newsroom, and Kelly did a good job explaining of, we've been really relying on Sky 4 with Action Cam throughout this now almost 4-hour ordeal, and Kelly explained and broke down for us exactly why you're not seeing Sky 4 with Action Cam right at this moment, because we have been asked by the public safety folks to not share that footage with you at this moment because of officer safety. We are respecting that, and we are honoring that for them while they do their work. But in these moments, we know that Sky 4 is gathering not just images, Kelly, but information with those images. They're able to tell us what's happening step by step in this situation. Pittsburgh's Action News 4 reporter Marcy Cipriani explained that tear gas would be used here, and when that does happen, they're also using that Rook. Okay, so that Rook is another very specialized armored vehicle. It's like part, a tank, part truck, and then also part demolition equipment, where they have a huge arm that really takes a home apart and can really take that home apart as they need to get inside to get to that person without putting police officers in harm's way and having them go inside, which has been the practice in the past.
Absolutely. I think we have our Marcy Cipriani standing by, so we do want to check in with her. What's the latest there, Marcy?
Yeah, I can tell you, Kelly, that the Rook is here. That is likely what you were seeing there. That's the state police vehicle that's used to breach doors. So that is now here on the scene, according to my sources. Also, one of the additional reasons why we are not able to show you Sky 4 my source says it's actually interfering with their communication because of just how loud that can be. So that's just another thing, as Shannon mentioned, that does go to officer safety here on the scene. But that's another reason why we're right now not able to show you images from Sky 4. But you can certainly see down the street here and see this heavy, heavy police presence. I also have now learned that all of the SWAT teams in Western Pennsylvania are now here on the scene. Pittsburgh Police SWAT team has a tactical command here, according to my source. So they are the ones in charge tactically of what is going on. But again, that Rook from the state police, I'm told, is here, used to breach the doors. As you saw, we had on live, I believe, on TV, you could see some of the preparation and the actual deployment of the gas not too long ago. At this point, it's unclear whether that has impacted the suspect at all. I am told from my source the suspect is alone inside the home. So we also were able to show you the removal of some of the neighbors. In fact, you heard gunfire at that time. That, my source says, was cover to get those neighbors out to safety. So again, according to my source, the suspect remains inside. He is alone, according to officials here on the scene. And now, with the rook on scene, it appears they may be attempting to breach the door, but they've used drones. As you've seen, they have used tear gas. And now every SWAT team, I'm told, in Western Pennsylvania does remain here on the scene in Garfield. Been going on now for several hours. We have not heard any additional gunshots, though, in quite some time. So as soon as I get some more information from my sources here, we'll bring that to you. But again, Sky 4 at this point, not able to show you, just for officer safety as far as noise and communication between all of these different jurisdictions here on the scene. Send it back to you.
It's interesting to see. So we are talking about some of the technology that the police are using in this situation. From the very large to the very small, we just had a quick shot of a drone, and you can see the drone here. Our viewers can see the drone up in the air. I want to ask Marcy a little bit more about how police use drones in a situation like this. Is it just to get a camera on the situation?
So about 20 minutes.
Yeah, to give them a little better eyes on the situation. And from what my source said earlier, 2 drones real early on were actually shot down, he tells me, from the suspect inside. So if you're seeing another one, as I mentioned, lots of different departments here, including every SWAT team in Western Pennsylvania, that was likely brought in from another unit here. But yeah, it's really to give them just a better, safe vantage point, which the robots, as we talk about technology, they were here as well. So a lot of those different resources being used to keep the officer safe. But of course, SWAT team is very close, obviously up there with Pittsburgh Police being the tactical command, their SWAT team on the scene right now.
Interesting, Marcy. It's interesting because over the past 4 hours now, we hear different things coming through from our cameras there on the scene, from your photographer there. There have been moments during this whole situation where you could hear a pin drop, and obviously there was all of that gunfire. But right now I'm hearing a lot of voices. Are people gathered around? Set the scene again for us almost 4 hours later.
Yeah, so what you see in front of me, obviously, is police, and they're preventing anybody from coming through here. But just behind our camera, neighbors are definitely gathering. They have been gathering here throughout the day, but there's certainly a few more of them now. This is the section where traffic can finally come through, so people are stopping, trying to figure out what's happening. So that's likely part of what you're hearing. But in front of me, certainly quiet and only law enforcement this way, and anybody maybe that's still inside their house sheltering in place.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, there's so many people in that community really want this to end as quickly as possibly, but also as safely as possibly, as they can get, if they can get that individual out. The sooner the better, I'm sure, for a lot of folks. That whole neighborhood is just ground to a standstill as you have walked us through this. Is another live picture for us? We get a little bit of a higher vantage point here to see kind of up above. I'm kind of curious as to where our photographer is to get this particular shot right now, but it's a good one. Yeah, we've got our several crews all over the scene, and you can see some police officers here, and they continue to have their guns drawn, Kelly. Many of these police officers have been here for almost the duration, almost 4 hours now.
Right, so I think this is a good time, since we have a moment here, to just kind of pause and recap for anyone who is just tuning in. We do want to walk you through exactly what we have confirmed right now. So this began just before 11 o'clock this morning. So this all stemmed from a home at the corner of Broad and North Matilda Streets. That's in Pittsburgh's Garfield neighborhood. Police were out there this morning to serve an eviction notice to someone at that home. One person we know was rescued from nearby homes. Police also evacuated the homes because that is when the rapid gunfire started. And we've heard periods of that throughout the day today. It's really incredible the amount of time that passes with the gunfire going off. It is incredibly scary. That is why police have made such an effort to go in. They wanted the 911 lines open for people who are in the homes nearby to call, give their location so they could go in and rescue those people. We saw that live, which was just incredible with Sky 4 right before we kind of pulled the Sky 4 feed for officer safety. We saw one person being rescued. We don't know how many more were rescued or evacuated, but if you know anything about that neighborhood, and you can see from these shots, it's tightly packed. There's a lot of homes very close to one another, a lot of businesses. This is a really busy area. We are told this morning that when officers went out there to serve that eviction notice, an Allegheny County Sheriff's Office sergeant was injured, but not from gunfire. We would speculate it was from trying to escape that gunfire that came on very rapidly, but we're waiting to get more information there. We do know that that officer is said to be okay. They were alert, they were conscious, and taken away for treatment. And now we understand the sheriff's office is saying how lucky that officer is, and we can all imagine that as well if you've heard any of the gunfire that's taking place there this afternoon.
Yeah, we've got Ashley Zilka on standby right now, but before we get to her, I want to just explain to Ashley, too, and all of our viewers right there, Marcy Cipriani just sent an email telling us that the Rook is going to the rear of the building and going to deploy that gas into the house. We had heard that that gas was already deployed, but this is a step-by-step situation. So again, the Rook with that big arm on it that you can just imagine, being deployed to the rear of the house, getting that tear gas in to hopefully get the suspect out, the shooter out. Pittsburgh's Action News 4 reporter Ashley Zilka, I have been struck by the people who you've interviewed today and their sadness over this situation. Set the scene for us once again, almost 4 hours after those first shots were fired. How are people in Garfield doing?
You know, many people here, they're just in shock. This is devastating and heartbreaking for this neighborhood, a neighborhood that has so many businesses and homes, families living here. I want to take a step aside so you can see where I'm at right now. We are on North Mathilda and Penn Avenue, and it's been quiet for a while, but I can tell you within the past 5 minutes, more police agencies have arrived. They even were bringing in water for law enforcement. So this is still very active, but many of the people in this neighborhood, they've came to this certain location right where I am to gather and watch the situation unfold. I did talk to residents a little bit ago who live on Broad Street. That was a place where many of them told me they had to be evacuated and escorted to safety by police officers. Here's what woman had to say.
Nevertheless, so I would say over 20, well over 20, because then it was 3 different rounds. It was one round, it was like really 20 or more. Then there was another round, and then it was just another round. So, and this is my first experience. I've been living here almost about 8 years, and this is the first time for this.
What's going through your mind, I guess, just seeing all this? Police are telling us, even you, to just back away, hide behind houses, cars. What's going through your mind right now?
Scary, because I'm like thinking kids, people's houses, bullets don't have no names. Bullets can go through houses. I'm just praying everybody down here, and it just is a better outcome than what it is. It just, the world's crazy. And then I was hearing too, there's something going on down at the courthouse. I don't know how true that is, but it's sad. It's sad because it's just.
Are you planning to stay as far back as possible?
Yes. Like I said, I just came just a little bit closer just to see, but then like they're still shooting. So yeah, and then there's airplanes, helicopters, whatever those things are that fly around. So yeah, it's pretty scary.
Up ahead for additional information when the investigation eventually closed.
All right, and Shannon, like you mentioned earlier in the newscast, I do want to mention when I was back on Broad, I saw several family members of the suspect. It was heartbreaking to see. They've been trying to get closer, obviously not safe. But after we heard one of those rounds of gunshots, the countless ones we've heard all day long, one of the family members actually dropped to the ground. This is obviously very traumatic for the entire neighborhood and really everyone involved. Back to you.
Absolutely, Ashley, thank you so much. I'm struck by the woman who you interviewed. She said bullets can go through houses, for sure. Okay. All right, so we're taking another live look at this active shooter situation in the Broad Street area of Garfield as police are doing what they can to end this whole active shooter standoff peacefully. Some of the most dangerous jobs, tasks that police have to do sometimes is responding to domestic disturbances, but also to serve something like an eviction notice. And those jobs are tasked with the Allegheny County Sheriff's Department in our community. So these sheriff's deputies spend their days doing this uncomfortable, sometimes dangerous and scary work, and that's exactly what took place today. this individual, a gentleman who works for the sheriff's department, who's a deputy, had a job to do, had to go serve an eviction notice for this individual in Garfield, and that is when things erupted into this violence today, Kelly. And Paul Van Osdal has been doing a lot of work over the past 4 hours finding out who the suspect is.
Right. William Hardison, apparently alone in the home. So that was, I guess, the good news. There was not a hostage situation. That's been confirmed through some of our police sources. I'm sure we're going to get more information on the background of why that eviction notice, how that came to be, kind of what the circumstance was there. But you're right. I mean, these officers had no way of knowing that this was going to turn into this. And if you've been with us for any length of time, there have been so many bouts of gunfire throughout the day, and we're talking from what sounds to be high-powered weapons firing very quickly at outside of the home. So this is extremely dangerous, which is why, we all might be hoping for a quicker resolution, but these officers have to do this the right way, knowing the danger that is inside that home.
Yeah, and I'm hoping we can get Pittsburgh's Action News 4 reporter, investigative reporter Paul Van Osdal back up, if possible, to kind of reshare and recap with us the information that he was able to gather about the suspect in this case. You're gonna have to stand by for that. Paul was able to give us a background of the criminal history. And when these deputies do serve these eviction notices and do things like this, they do know full well what the criminal history is of the person involved, because they know the danger they're facing, and the more information they have, the better for them. That doesn't mean that it still means that they have to go do their job. And in this case, we heard directly from the Allegheny County Sheriff, Kevin Krause, telling me that this person is very, very lucky. This morning could have started out very differently for that individual, for sure. Let's get back out to Pittsburgh's Action News 4 reporter, Marcy Cipriani. It's exhausting here. I see you taking out your umbrella here as the weather started to change a little bit on this Wednesday afternoon, stretching into the afternoon here. Do you have an update? You have new information?
Well, one of the things I just learned is that police are now going in for another rescue. So they do have to rescue another person. So that means we could hear some more gunfire. There could be some cover gunfire as well. But that's what I was just told about a minute ago, actually, that they're preparing to go in for another rescue. It's starting to slow down. It's kind of back and forth here, but let me move my umbrella, get out of the way. You can kind of see police officers still in the positions that we have been showing you. We know the Rook is here from the state police, that they've deployed gas, but the latest information I just received is that they are headed in to go ahead and do another rescue of a neighbor from sort of the end of the row there. So I guess they're going a little bit further out to make sure everybody's out of there in preparation for what's coming. But as you mentioned, the weather is definitely changing here. That may change things out here on the street. Obviously,
I was sent the name for the person inside. I'm going to hold off until I can see if it's confirmed, but allegedly this person has a long rap sheet. The dad sold the house and he refused to leave. He didn't pay rent for 5 months and has a big stash of guns threatening to burn it down.
Your shots was actually extra ammunition being brought in for those officers. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
My bad, guys.
Yeah, that's right. They have had extra ammo brought in a couple of times today. In fact, with all of the gunfire.
I'm going to try to get my MacBook synced, so in case I ever have to leave, if something happens, I can hopefully do it on my MacBook while I'm away.
Officers carrying boxes, and my source says that's exactly what was in there, more ammunition in order to be able to obviously try to bring this man out safely, who is inside with lots.
Oh, you guys, the neighbor's already out there? Oh, my bad. Oh, okay, thanks.
Marcy, we talked about process too with this. The first thing
Well, let's see what he looks like, right? Let's take a look. School shooter. Sorry, what the hell am I thinking? Active shooter.
Shout out to IckedMel for allowing me to stream his stream and providing such great content on these kind of streams.
Twitter. World of Twitter.
Source that's about to happen again from a little bit further down, so maybe not directly next door, but they do have to make another rescue. So if we hear gunfire, that could be potentially what that's in response to. They're trying to make sure that everybody is out safely before they make their next move, whatever that may be. As I did mention, though, the rook was heading around to the back make entry, so all of this is likely going hand in hand.
Yeah, and what we've learned from this all today is that this takes time. And the police, law enforcement, and state police are in command here. They are not going to rush anything, right?
Be here all day, guys.
Right, and all of the SWAT teams, I'm told, from Western Pennsylvania are here as well. So that's a lot of coordination. That's a lot of working together and trying to figure out the best way to make this safe. And of course, as we talked about earlier, this is Garfield. This is the city of Pittsburgh, so homes are extremely close. Lots of people in this area. So that's why they're still taking people out of their homes if they're close by, or of course, some of the people are just sheltering in place to stay safe.
You add in the bomb squad to that whole equation too, because they have a part to play.
Because you guys are right. So William Hardison, here's a clip I found on Twitter.
Have information on who this person is?
Yes, that's right. We've been looking into the background of the suspect, and his name is William Hardison Jr., and court records show just this morning an eviction of Hardison was scheduled at that address on Broad Street here in Garfield, where the standoff occurred. Now, the home was owned by a man who appears to be Hardison's father, William Hardison Sr. It was occupied by William Hardison Jr.
Performance vehicle, but it is a very fast vehicle. It's a powerful engine, and it can move very quickly, as you can see. But they're also heavier. So that brings some added risk into this. Again, we are on the 110.
In Pasadena, this is a very
windy.
Look at
north-south, which direction they're going, because they're going southbound, so they're not going to run into that section where they run out of freeway and go back up.
Okay, so the echo you're hearing now is going to be coming from IckedMel
this is a very windy and narrow
because
freeway.
he's now screaming
and
two
it can be very
different
dangerous to be going at high speeds, and they also have very short on-ramps and off-ramps. So it is you can't drive as freely on this freeway, in my opinion, than some of the other freeways in Southern California. But you can see he's he's flying at almost 100 miles an hour, 80, he's slowing down now, but he was 100 miles an hour just a couple seconds ago.
Well, as you mentioned, in the area where I was suggesting if he was going northbound, yes, but he's going to be heading into the downtown area fairly quickly, traveling at 90 plus miles an hour. So he should start to get into more open 110, part of the 110, but he's also, that's what you're talking about, those on-ramps that are so close. But he's going to start hitting downtown traffic before too very long.
Yes, and again, we're still waiting to get word on why authorities are pursuing this vehicle. He's slowing down now, going 77, still a little too fast for this freeway, I think. But we're still waiting to get some information as to why they are pursuing this vehicle. Again, CHP in pursuit. It could be a stolen vehicle. We just don't know at this point. We don't know much about the driver either. It doesn't appear that there is a passenger in the vehicle. I'm not sure if you can see anyone. It's hard to see. It just looks like maybe the driver is the only person in the vehicle at this time.
Well, it's hard to speculate with the windows being somewhat tinted, as you can see, but he is going back and forth across the roadway.
That's a Rolls Royce?
Total disregard for anyone around, but at this point, just is kind of going at a higher rate of speed than you would want, but not we haven't seen a bunch of significant reckless maneuvers per se, other than just moving across traffic unsafely. And then to be honest, there will be times you'll see people driving like that just on a regular commute. So I, at this point, don't see ground officers right behind him. That could be the case, but we can't say. We do see the airship right there. So and is that somebody? No. Right now, I don't see any CHP officers on the ground right behind him in patrol cars.
They may have pulled back, which sometimes authorities will do if
the driver is
driving erratically and dangerously for the road. They might pull back to maybe help calm the situation. But we're not sure at this point. We believe this started at about 11:20, so maybe 20 minutes ago. And again, we believe it started in Arcadia on the westbound 210 freeway at Santa Anita. The CHP, as we mentioned, was in pursuit. And then, did you say he was on the 210? Well, on the...
He was on the westbound 210. That was when he was leaving Arcadia, but then somehow ended up on the streets of Pasadena, and then ended up in South Pass, jumped on the 110. And at this point, you're getting really close to being in downtown traffic. Now, there's the carpool lane that he could or she could get into, but there's a lot of options once he or she gets onto the 110. So again, we don't know the occupants of the vehicle. We don't know how many people are in there, but we do know that this is a Wednesday morning and it's right about lunchtime, so you're going to start to see traffic pick up. And it'll be interesting to see what authorities want to do with this person heading southbound on the 110.
Yeah, and he is coming up to the, is he on the 5 at this point? No, he's still on the 1, he just passed the 5, so he stayed on the 110, so he's in the Elysian Park area right now. And as you mentioned, lots of cars on the road right now, like as you said, almost lunchtime. He will be passing through the tunnel. And we'll have to see what happens then, but you see there's a little bit of traffic on there. He's not driving as quickly as he was or as fast as he was earlier. He's in the 60-mile-per-hour range, so not too bad right now. And I don't know if we can pull back and see if the CHP has resumed tailing this vehicle. There's no sign of them at this time.
Well, there's the helicopter, there's the airship. Now we see a quick move off to the right, so it looks as if he might be leaving the freeway, which our map says that's the Stadium Way. So he's near Dodger Stadium at this point and off the freeway. So we're going to see, this is when it gets, you know, somewhat scary for people to pull out in front of a vehicle who's showing such disregard. Now he's into oncoming traffic. The road there, pretty rough, but let's see where this is going to go, because now you can see he's running adjacent to the freeway, which that's the traffic that we were talking about that we thought he might be getting into.
He's trying to avoid that traffic. And we have Bruce Thomas, law enforcement expert, on the phone with us. Bruce, thank you for joining us for all of these pursuits, because we really appreciate your insight. What do you make of this so far, the fact that CHP has pulled back?
Yeah, well, good afternoon, Philip and Giovanna. What we have is, you have a vehicle which Rolls Royces typically weigh a lot, and they're very, very durable. And I think CHP has pulled back just because we've seen a wanton disregard for public safety by this driver, both on the freeway and now off the freeway.
Well, and we're watching the way he's passing vehicles into oncoming traffic against right there. Somebody's not going to be making that turn when they're making a turn. So now we're seeing this person
was on the underpass. For a second, I thought it was about to have a collision. By the way, viewer discretion is advised. This is both live TV. We have no idea what's going to happen. So,
shooter situation in Pennsylvania,
who has driven through there, so it can get difficult to navigate this space with this type of traffic during this time of day. We're approaching lunchtime now, and this driver is going against traffic, freely turning whenever he wants to turn or she wants to turn. And Bruce, I think that shot right there showed what you're talking about. This vehicle is so heavy, it's going to continue going the direction that it is. So when he makes these turns, you can see he drifts into other lanes. It's not a sporting vehicle.